everyone, thanks for joining us here today. Cakes, Cooking and More. I'm Marie Lockwood. Today's recipe is a vanilla cupcake with vanilla icing, a little sugar cookie on top that's a 3-leaf clover, and a gold leprechaun coin. Now we're just going to be learning how to make the toppings today. So let's see what we need. Okay, so for this recipe we have a few things. What we are making are little gold coins. And what I have are some plastic ones. You can see they have a little 4-leaf clover on them. Oops. They have a little 4-leaf clover on them, and so I'm making an impression of those. So what we want to do first is take our fondant, get that rolled out. And I have these little bracers on here to make sure I don't go too thin. If I go all the way down, it's about the same thickness as the coins. That's about what I'm looking for. Just keep turning your fondant, and you can see I've dyed mine a yellow. And yellow is not the same as a gold coin, I know. But yellow is the closest we can get with the food paste color, the gel paste. So we're just getting it ready. Alright, so what I have here is the closest thing I could find to the right size. So I'm just going to cut out a couple of circles. You need however many you need for the cookies that you're, or the cupcakes that you're making. Sometimes when you're using something that's not a cookie cutter, it doesn't actually cut really well, but it's kind of all I had that was the right size. There we go. Okay, now that you have a nice round shape, just clean up the edges a little bit. I just do mine with my fingers, but you can take a knife and straighten them if you want. Okay, so then I take one of the gold coins with the 4-leaf clover facing up and one with the 4-leaf clover facing down. And you're just going to squeeze them. And you just want to get that clover on there. Then take a tiny paring knife and cut off any excess around the edges. Okay, now that we have that cut off, just clean up the edges with your fingers a little bit, and then peel it apart carefully. If your fondant tears, you'll have to start over, so you want to make sure that you do it carefully. And then, again, clean up your edges with your fingers. And what we have is a nice little 4-leaf clover gold coin, which to me says, you know, St. Patrick's Day. Alright, so now we're just going to take another circle and put it on our gold coin. And another coin facing down. And do it again. We're just going to do this for however many you need for your cupcakes. And then we'll be back. Okay, so for this part, what I have is some metallic food paint that is completely edible and a little bit of plain vodka. Now I do about 1 millimeter of the food paint with 1/2 millimeter of the vodka, and you just kind of mix it up till it's pretty well mixed, and the vodka just kind of evaporates, so you don't have to worry about it. Now I take that food color and I just paint my coin to give it that metallic look. And the reason we started with a yellow base is because the metallic showed up a little better on that. You don't have to do it heavy, but I do a couple of coats just to make sure it's well covered. Make sure you've got the sides and the edges too. Alright, once we've got that covered, we're going to do the next one. You're going to do all of them like that until you're all done, and then we're going to set them to the side to dry. You need that food color completely dried before we turn them over and do the back sides of them. Now you don't have to do the back sides, but because I'm decorating a cupcake with them, I actually need them completely covered. The other thing about the metallic paint is the pattern that we pressed in there of the little clover actually shows up a little better. Now once this is dry, if you feel like you need to put another coat on, go ahead and do that before you flip it. They're pretty easy to do. And yes, you could just use the gold coins that I bought, but you know, I wanted the whole cupcake edible, other than the, you know, wrapper. Okay, now that we have those done, we're going to set these aside and let those dry for a little while. And then, like I said, we'll see if we need another coat or if we want to just go ahead and flip them over. Now on this part, what we have are my sugar cookies, and I'll put a link to the, in the description box to the recipe for that. And what we're going to do is I have two greens here. I have a light green, which is a leaf green, and I have a little bit darker green. You want that darker one about 2 shades darker. And I'm using a sandwich baggie because I want a really fine, thin line. And I didn't want to have to mess with the tip. So I just cut a tiny little bitty hole. And this one has to be a little bit bigger because we're flooding with this one. And I forgot my napkin. Okay. So what you're going to do is just outline your little clover. And this was the smallest cookie cutter I could find that was a 4-leaf clover. I had to actually order it on Amazon, and I will put a link in the description box so that you can get one if you want. Alright, and then we're just going to flood the cookie just like in the episode where we learned about the different kinds of icing. Okay, and then we're going to do the next one. You just want to do this with all of your cookies. Okay, once you have your cookie flooded, we're using a flooding tool to just kind of shape it to follow the shape of the cookie. You know, each little clover leaf is kind of rounded, kind of comes in at the middle. So we're just dragging the icing to that shape. So when you're doing your outlining, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to make sure that you go back and finish shaping it so that it is a good shape. It might actually be easier if I pick up the cookie because it's such a small one. And like I've said before, they don't have to be perfect, but you want the general impression of what it's supposed to be recognizable. And I do go all the way down the stem and kind of shape it with that little tip there at the corner of each stem. Okay, now that those are done, you're going to remember to tap them. Helps get that icing even. And then just set them aside and work on your next ones until you've got all of your cookies ready with this color. And then we'll go back with the detail work with the darker color in just a second. Okay, now that our cookies are covered in our pale green, we're going to take our dark green and we're going to cut an even smaller hole. You want a tiny one for this. Okay, now we're just going to do the little marks to give it some little bit of definition. Just a little dent that makes it look like the leaf kind of bends. And just do one on each leaf and kind of curve it towards the middle. And just take my tool and kind of straighten out the line. Alright, and then we're going to do the same with the rest of our cookies, and then we'll be back. Okay, now we're going to let our cookies dry. We're going to go back to checking on our gold coins. Alright, they're still slightly tacky, and they're still a little see-through. So what we're going to do Just take our little bit of paint and just do another coat real quick. Oh yeah, that's much better. Sometimes you do have to wait for it to dry to get that last coat on so that it's nice and even. Get that last coat on there. Okay, now we're going to let these dry again for a few minutes. And it doesn't take long. Just touch up any spots on the side that you see that are still yellow and not really gold. Kind of have to hold your finger up against one of them to be able to work. They like to turn on you. Okay, like I said, we're just going to let those dry and then we'll be back. Alright, now you're just flipping them over. Give them a good coat. Now one side is the back, so you don't have to get it as much, but I still like to try to make it look like a gold coin. Just flip them and cover them like we did before, and then we'll be back. Okay, while our coins are drying, and they do take a while, guys, so be prepared, about probably 20 minutes per side. We're going to take our dark green icing, which I just have a little bit left. Now you don't have to do this, it's totally up to you, but you can take your dark green icing and outline your cookie just to give it a little more definition. And I just go right along the icing edge. And you can pick them up if that's easier for you. Sometimes it is, especially when the cookies are this small. If it kind of clogs in there, just wipe it off on a towel and start over. Sometimes that'll happen because we've got such a small little hole. It can get clogged up pretty easy. And the cookies take, about 20 minutes or so to harden too. You don't need them super hard, you just need that icing to firm up a little bit. Okay, if you make a mistake, you can clean it up with your little tool, or you can use a toothpick even. Toothpicks work just fine if you don't have the tools to do it. Like I said, the dark line's not really necessary, but it gives a little more definition to your shape. I'll do it on a couple of the cookies, but not all of them. And you can see kind of the difference. Just kind of turn your cookie as you work. You really don't have to squeeze much. If you squeeze too hard, you'll know, because you'll get a little glob there, Okay, so we have our outlined ones, and then we have our two that are not outlined. So you can choose for yourself which one you like best. I kind of like the outlined look, so I'm going to go ahead and finish the last two, and then we'll be back as soon as those coins are ready. Alright, Okay, now that our gold coins are mostly dry, what I have here are 4 little cupcakes. I just did a vanilla cupcake with vanilla icing, and they sort of have a rose look to them. You don't have to do that. You can do whatever kind of design you want. I just take one of my little cookies, kind of set it in the middle, squish it in there. You kind of have to set it a little at an angle. Use the stem to kind of stand it up a little bit. You can put them in different angles, different designs that you want to do. You just want to take your little gold coin and set it right there. Very easy to do. And we just do all 4 of them. Now, because I did a rose pattern, at the very end you can see there's a little lip, and I just cover that with the cookie so that the little lip is behind the cookie. And put my little gold coin sort of at an angle towards it. Oh, there we go. And that is our St. Patty's. And that one, I got a little bit of green food coloring. Probably touched the cookie. So I'm just touching up my gold paint now that they're in place. And since they're fondant, they do tend to bend a little bit, so be prepared for that, that you're not going to be able to get a completely straight coin. Okay. Okay, there we have our little St. Patrick's Day coins with our little 4-leaf clover on our cupcakes. There we go. Okay, so these are our St. Patrick's Day cupcakes. I hope that your family enjoys them as much as mine does. Thanks for joining us here today at Kay's Cooking and More. I'm Marie Lockwood. Have a great day.